Australian families among those caught up in the deadly Hawaiian wildfires forced to evacuate their new home in Maui.
As flames ripped through the town of Lahaina, the Smith family fled with nothing but the clothes on their back. Let's bring in Natalie and Matt Smith in Maui now. Guys, thank you so much for being with us on what must have been the toughest of weekends. Can you talk us through what the past few days have been like for you?
I mean, it's just been a roller coaster. It's been highs, lows. It's just been surreal.
This is the thing, I mean, we've all seen the horrific images of the aftermath of these fires, but to have been caught up in the ferocity of it all, you know, it was just spread so quickly. Did you even know what was happening at the time?
No, so that morning, you know, I was at home with my two boys. We had just moved into our new condo 3 days earlier, and the power had gone out that morning. I was on an empty tank of petrol, so I had gone into town, into Lahaina, to try to find a gas station where I could fill up, not obviously knowing what was to come later that day. Nothing was open, so I went home on that empty tank of petrol and just unpacked. We set up my boys' bedroom. Me and my oldest son, my boys were starting school the next day. We put their bed together, unpacked all of their toys, their books, and just kind of laid low at the house while the winds were picking up. You know, like it was just getting worse and worse. A little bit later on, so around 3 o'clock that afternoon, I started to smell smoke, and I looked out my bedroom window and the fire was just in front of us. I could see smoke. So honestly, at that point, I thought I was overreacting to leave. No one told us to evacuate. There was no warning. We didn't receive any information, but I thought it's best if we just leave. So I told my two boys, I have a 6-year-old, we have a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old, pack a bag. We've got to get out of here. I packed, just grabbed my handbag. Luckily, it had our passports in it. I had bought water that morning because the power was out. I didn't know what was going to happen. Threw the water in, threw my sons in the car. They grabbed their bags. My 6-year-old just put his school t-shirts in his bag, and my 11-year-old thankfully grabbed our laptops, and we left. But what happened next? I mean, my boys and I were stuck in traffic for close to an hour, and you might have seen some of the footage, like you just showed the thick smoke, the orange air. There's debris flying everywhere, and we were trying to get out of Lahaina. We just live 2 blocks up from the main area of Lahaina, and it was just petrifying. The traffic wasn't moving. Power poles had been knocked down earlier in the day, so they were blocking the roads, and you know the community was trying to evacuate. So luckily, after about 20 minutes, the oncoming traffic, there were people coming past me to go into Lahaina, and I was winding down my window just looking at them, wondering what they're doing, trying to talk to them. There were people running everywhere, down to the beach, away. It was absolute chaos. And I was trying to get a hold of my husband, who was just the other side of Front Street, because he had gas. I was so worried to be on an empty tank of petrol. And about 40 minutes later, we made it out of that smoky area, and we escaped to a friend's house where we stayed, me and the boys, for 2 days with no power, no service. We didn't really understand what had happened, and my husband was stuck on the other side of the island.
So I was stuck at a vantage point, just watching the flames go down and consume the town.
You didn't know it was
I couldn't move forward because flames were across the road, and I couldn't move back because it was there was just lined up
everywhere.
And I was forced to watch it go right in.
That must have been the most heinous thing for you to watch and not know.
I feel so helpless.
We appreciate you being one of many, many stories coming out of there at the moment. Just awful for the people of Maui. Thank you.
Well, the smoke has begun to clear on the island of Maui, unveiling a devastating picture. With at least 93 confirmed deaths, it's now the deadliest US wildfire in more than 100 years.
I still can't believe that. Look at that.
Yeah, the images are devastating.
Just awful. Chelsea Davis from Hawaii News Now joins us live from Maui. Chelsea, how's it all going over there?
Well, aloha, Carl and Sarah. I'm in Wailuku, which is a centralized location. And you can see behind me, this is a massive donation hub, a massive donation center that has been set up. It's also working as a shelter, Red Cross shelter, where displaced families are staying here because they have nowhere else to go. And here in the grassy area, you can see all the donations that have been pouring in from the local community because so many people want to help our loved ones out in West Maui. But a huge challenge logistically is getting all of these supplies over to the west side, what we're calling ground zero, the people who need it the most, because they are still restricting access to the general public. It is still an active investigation. Local, state, and federal officials are there on the ground, still searching for survivors and doing body recovery as well. So they want to preserve that historic town of Lahaina as much as possible. But what they are doing is they are allowing West Side residents, those who live on that side, to go into the West Side to check on family members and to grab whatever they need. Those who still have something left to get to their homes and get the necessities that they need. But still, we're still trying to work out logistically how to get all of these supplies to the west side of the island. Now, yesterday, I did do a media tour with local, state, and federal officials. They took us down to the west side. They guided the media on this tour down to a town called Puamana, where it was completely devastated. There's basically nothing left at that town. We went from home to vehicle, and everything is completely charred. There's nothing left. What I did notice when we went down there is there are a bunch of orange X's on all the cars, or most of the cars, and the homes as well. There's FEMA officials, federal government officials. We asked them what that means, and they said that local authorities have already swept through the area. They've already done a walk through the area to search for any survivors, to recover any human remains. And so that orange X that we're seeing everywhere, that indicates that it has been searched initially by local authorities. FEMA, however, the federal government here, are going to do a second walkthrough. They're going to do a double check, again, looking for any survivors or just recovering human remains. So that was shocking to see just how many of those there were. Of course, we went into that historic town of Lahaina, the front street, what we're calling ground zero, where the town and that street is completely wiped out, where it's a historic town. It was originally the capital of the kingdom of Hawaii here. So there's a lot of history, a lot of pride there. And of course, there's shops and visitors that like to go in and enjoy. And a lot of our family members and our people work down there. We saw the cadaver dogs down there, and they said they are highly trained. They're still going around and searching for survivors and human remains. And when those dogs bark and make a hit, they have a second dog come and check that out. There's a huge banyan tree, if you've been seeing those photos as well, and that's kind of a staple in that historic town in Lahaina. There's arborists there trying to restore life to that tree that so many people care deeply about, but they said no promises. And our governor, Josh Green, did say this is the worst natural disaster in all of Hawaii, and possibly the worst fire in all of America when this is all over.
Do you know what, Chelsea? It's incredibly difficult to report on something that is so close to home for you. You're doing a really incredible job under duress, and our hearts go out to you all there in Maui, Hawaii. Thank you so much.
Hey there, Today fans. Sarah and...
What's my name again?
Oh my goodness, Carl.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel, though. Subscribe now for more news, special reports, and amazing Aussie stories.
And Carl misbehaving,
Whoa,
of course.
That never happens.
Always happens.
What's she talking about?